I'm Leonardo Meeus. I'm a professor in the school. I'm also a partner, and I specialize in energy, but also in strategy. And within our strategy department, I focused on the relations between companies, government, stakeholders, NGOs. So you could say a broader perspective on strategy than you typically find focusing on only what happens in the market. And since recently, I also took up the program directorship of one of our MBAs. So I'm getting closer to the MBA portfolio in recent months.
My name is Bjorn Cumps. I'm also a professor at Vlerick Business School, also a partner at the school. My main domain or topics of interest are everything that has to do with digital transformation, technology, with a specialization in fintech. So mainly the financial services sector. And those are also the main courses that I teach at the school. And recently I also took up the role as program director of our new European Executive MBA program.
It's quite a big deal, I would say, the EU Green Deal. I always like to talk about it in terms of targets, policies and financing, and because somehow policy always starts with targets, at least in the energy and climate sphere, we're used to talk about targets. And the very first time we did that very successfully was beginning of 2006, around that time, we started talking about ambitious targets to achieve by 2020. And that horizon has just passed, and the good news is it was a success because we achieved our targets. We were able to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 20%. We increased our renewable energy production up to 20% of consumption, and we also improved our energy savings, again 20%. So it was easy to remember these 2020 targets because this was 3 times trying to achieve a target of 20%. Then just a few years ago, we said, okay, what do we do next for the 2030 horizon? And maybe you've not heard about it on what we decided a few years ago because it was not that ambitious. So when Ursula von der Leyen, more recently, just a few years ago, became the new president of the European Commission, she wanted not only to introduce targets for 2050, so the longer horizon, but she also said we need to revisit the targets for 2030 and make them more ambitious. And this all started with a target for 2050 to become the first climate neutral continent. And then we said, okay, that's great, but 2050 we cannot wait. So what do we have to do by 2030 to achieve that longer term target? And since then, I think it has received a lot of attention, because we realized we don't only need to completely transform the energy industry, and in the energy industry we're already quite used to talking about transformation, but it's about transforming everything. It's about transforming industry, it's about transforming our cities, and our citizens will more and more, feel the direct impact of that. And I think it's very exciting, and what is going on right now is the translation of those targets into policies, because of course if we don't change our regulations, we will have targets, but maybe nobody will know how to get there. And Commission is working on thousands of pages of new rules and legislation. And that's why, the Green Deal is all about following that. And I'm one of many experts that is trying to make a contribution. But as these changes impact everything, you need more than one expert to know what's going on. That's for sure. And maybe as a short word on the financing part, here I'm really not the expert, but we have a few in the school that are quite close to the topic of sustainable finance or sustainable accounting. And all these colleagues tell us that also in that domain, a lot is going on, because of course we will need a lot of financing of companies to get where we want to go, but also we are more and more talking about sustainable climate funds and all kind of mechanisms to make sure that we don't lose everybody, right? That it's still also from a social point of view feasible to achieve everything we want to achieve. So that's for me the Green Deal. It's what's going on right now in Brussels, but something that will touch all industries, all companies, and all of us. We have a saying, I think our colleagues of business model innovation once told me that innovation often happens out of necessity. So as we are now, a first mover in the world to really talk very concretely on what it means, what kind of regulations we need to get to this kind of climate neutrality we want, that means that we will have a framework that will force companies, right? So they will have to comply with all these new rules. And I'm sure that companies will find very innovative ways, right, to not only comply, but you will also have first movers, leaders, right, of innovation that will go beyond. And in this way, Europe has really the opportunity to establish new industries that then can hopefully also expand their business outside of Europe. Because as you already see today, it's not only in Europe, right, that we're talking about going towards climate neutrality. It's also in other parts of the world. So yeah, that's why I think Europe is leading the way, but hopefully the others will follow soon.
The European Executive MBA is an MBA program, but with a twist. It has three specific aspects that make it quite unique. First one is that it is uniquely European. So Leonardo just explained that this is the right context to study sustainability. If you see everything that is happening in Europe, we said let's also make sure that in our MBA we have that European perspective, and we do that by actually going to different European cities. So the MBA will take place we have 6 modules that actually take place in different European cities, where we have 1 week to study a specific topic. And all of the other modules are online. Which brings me to my second aspect, is that it's not only a European one, but it's also a very flexible program, which means that you will have the best of both worlds. You will have part of it is online learning, where we focus on efficiency, making sure that you can combine that and have a good work-life balance, and make sure that you can do it from different locations. But next to that, we also want to add the on-location component and the face-to-face aspect, and we do that with the different modules on location. And then the third aspect is that strong focus on sustainability, is that sustainability for this program is not just one course. What we did is we will make sure that sustainability runs through the entire program, and it is really intertwined with all of the different modules that you will follow. So Leonardo already talked about the fact that it is the different aspects are important when it comes to sustainability. So we will look at finance and how finance can contribute to that, but also technology, digital transformation, technologies like AI, blockchain, and they're linked to sustainability, accounting, and how accounting can basically link to sustainability. So it's not just one course, but throughout the entire program, we will make the link with sustainability, so that every participant has that 360 view on how all of the different traditional domains that you have in an MBA program linked to that very important topic of sustainability. And that's what makes it different. Basically, it's designed for, as we call them, aspirational leaders who want to take up a leading position after their MBA program. Who have a strong European focus. If you go for the European Executive MBA, I think that you want to build your network in Europe, and that's exactly what we will help you do. If you go to the different European cities, for example, Dublin or Copenhagen, or it's not to put you in a room, in a classroom, and to teach over there the same thing that we would do in Brussels at Vlerick. So the idea is really to connect with companies, to have you work on company cases, to make sure that we hear from guest speakers, and we also carefully selected these European cities, and that makes that if you really have the ambition, to pursue a career in Europe, that this program will help you do that. And next to that, for people who are, we have more and more people who are looking for that flexibility that I talked about. Also from the company side, from the employer's side, having a program which is flexible, where your employee who follows this program is able to do that in a flexible manner, have some online modules, have a limited amount of on-location modules, because we have 6 modules of 1 week, but it is spread out over 3 calendar years, so there is quite some time in between the modules, so that it's a good balance and a good mix for your private and commitment, and your personal and your commercial commitment to the organization. So that's I think the most important thing. Well, we think it's important because it is, and that's the way we constructed the program. It is not a topic, a standalone topic as such, and that's what I already said before. It will become something at the heart of every organization, and I hear some companies say sustainability is the new digital. Every company is actually, digitizing and has to take into account the new digital reality. The same will happen with sustainability. It will become part of your normal way of doing business, and that's why we also make sure that it is integrated in every different aspect of managing a company, whether it's HR, whether it is accounting, whether it's finance, whether it's digital. So all of these different domains will need to think about how does this link to how can this contribute to sustainability. If you see what Leonardo talked about, the ambition levels that are being set in Europe, I don't think that there's a lot of organizations out there today who still see this as a fad or the next new trend, or this is serious. And in Europe, they actually are they mean business on this, and they have a strong vision to go forward. That means that organizations will need to follow. That means that people working in organizations, managers, leaders, will have to have a very good grasp of what this topic now exactly means.
I think we are very well placed at Vlerick to do this. As Bjorn said, right, we're sort of combining the best of what we've learned, because we have still on-campus MBAs. We have an online MBA. That's the one I am currently the director of. And I think the next step for us was indeed this kind of blended format. And also, I think, being at the heart of Europe in Brussels with our campus, we've noticed what's going on. We indeed, I fully agree with Bjorn, it's getting very serious. So yeah, the time is right, I think, both on the way the program has been designed and us at Vlerick, right? I think we are well placed to do this. I will also do a webinar, right, with you on elaborating a bit on the topic, how I think company strategies can look like when they deal with sustainability. But, I'm not going to give the details now. I just invite you to either watch the webinar or join the MBA, because normally you will also see me there.
What we will do in the program is twofold. Well, first of all, you have traditional courses. You have the basic foundations that you have in any MBA program. So you will still learn about accounting, finance, marketing, all of the basic courses. But next to that, I think that the modules, the on-site modules that we developed, the 1 week modules in the European cities, they are quite unique because they are a mix of, on one hand, working together with companies. So we will go on location and students will have to work on real company problems, on real company cases, and also present that back to the organization and get feedback on that. And that really helps to put it all in practice and to test whether it works, yes or no, and get immediate feedback from that. Next to that, we also work with local business schools. So we also make the link with the local business school, which the most important schools which are part of that city. and align with them on their view and their vision on sustainability, and bring in those external views from other schools also. So they will have guest lectures on that, and of course next to that they bring their own experience. So this is an executive MBA, so it's a European executive MBA, so we hope we will get a broad and diverse audience in this program. We opted to go and visit different cities, each with their own specific strength. Some are more focused on becoming smart cities, some are really becoming technology hubs, and they all link, and they all have a strong link with sustainability. So we will use the context of that city, and then real life cases, working with organizations, linking with other business schools, to have a very rich program in 1 week, and that'll help students to basically define future strategies in sustainability. Well, it's truly European in two ways. First of all, because of the locations. So we carefully selected different cities for a specific reason, as I already just mentioned. But secondly, also because of the context. What Leo explained previously is there's a lot happening in Europe when it comes to regulation. We, in the program, also will make some time to understand what is happening, to also visit some of these European institutions. And to also make sure that we link, for example, regulatory aspects to the business topics. So that next to the Green Deal, Europe is also thinking about regulating big tech companies like Facebook and Google, and in many of the cases there's a sustainability aspect to it. Europe has come with new regulation on cryptocurrencies, on whether or not to ban certain crypto. Why? Because some crypto has a substantial impact on energy aspects, on the amount of energy needed to basically get that system up and running. So we will start from business topics and then also link it back to regulatory aspects, and where better in Brussels, linking to these institutions, being in those institutions with our groups and with our students, to actually think about also the societal aspects. And that's I think what makes it really truly European.